The internet's an impossibly massive place, overflowing with communities each made up of their own cultures and subcultures. Some of them are known on a wider scale, like Reddit or 4chan, while others are almost invisible and left to their own devices to grow and twist into whatever they will. Because of how many of these cultures there are and how huge some of them get, it just kinda makes sense that there would be games made for them. Games that toss around in-jokes and memes like they're hot potatoes. The digital world of Bitardia is as strange as it is Russian and offensive, meaning very. It's this self-aware game that puts on a front of being a meme-filled shitshow, but in actuality, it's far more than that. I mean, it's definitely a meme-filled shitshow, there's just, you know, a bit more to it. In my time spent playing Bitardia, the only surefire conclusion I've come to is that it is, without a doubt, one of the goddamn weirdest gaming experiences I've had in my life. Equal parts satire of internet culture and goofy game made for people who like 4chan memes and shitposting. It makes fun of so much of the pseudo-machismo that fills so many of the more aggressive subcultures online, while using the same subcultures to make commentary on trolling, cybercrime, and generally just kind of being a dick on the internet. As described by one of the first characters you meet, Bitardia is a place where people can be the senseless, disgusting monsters they are, and you'll see that as you play. There's not really any holding back on what's said, and I assume written, anywhere in the game. They say a lot of offensive stuff, so I can't at all recommend this to most people, but as a case study for online cultures and subcultures, I think this is an incredibly interesting game. After getting sucked into the digital realm of Bitardia at the beginning of the game, you choose one of two masks, an angry-faced bag or a Guy Fawkes mask, and then you're thrust into the thick of things. You soon find out that there's some kind of faction war going on between Anon, the people with bags on their heads, and Cancer, people with Guy Fawkes masks on their faces and crabs on their backs. The side you're on is determined by the mask you picked, and the story missions you get are often mirrors of each other. Anon defends a tower, Cancer blows it up. Apart from that, Bitardia plays like a fairly standard open-world adventure game. Think of it as one of the newer Fallout games, but with almost no budget to speak of, and you'll have a pretty good idea of what to actually expect. Simple shooting, janky animations, and point A to point B quest structures that sometimes have you looking around a vague area for some kind of item. On a less mechanical level, Bitardia is built in a way that breathes a strange sort of life into the world that you play in. The quests and NPCs you talk to and buy stuff from are all some kind of caricature of people online, and their dialogue is littered with shorthand, references to internet subcultures, and the more than occasional slur. The quests you go on are in areas themed after various online image boards or forums, ranging on large involved areas like SR, which serve as a Slenderman minigame, or B, that's just an area where you gain money by fighting other dudes. And then there are smaller one-off joke areas like Fizz, which is just a guide doing pull-ups surrounded by chickens. The people you meet have their own agendas and even political beliefs, albeit framed within Bitardia's digital playground. As chaotic as the world is, I never actually lost the feeling that I was making tangible progress as I played, obtaining weapons and unlocking secrets. Main and side quests allow you to farm up some cash to get new weapons while still fitting into the game's two-part theme of making fun of people online in a general sense, and also making the player consider and question their actions and the action of trolls online in a grander sense than just messing with people. Take as an example these two quests. In Hotline Bitardia, you're tasked with clearing out a club. It's an obvious knockoff of Hotline Miami, but you're not just murdering guards. The rooms you go through are filled with NPCs just having a good time, and there's no way to really avoid them getting caught in the crossfire. Because of how the game establishes its world, with everyone there being a human being, you know those aren't just NPCs, at least not within the context of the game's world. Sure, yes, it's just a game that you, the player, are playing, but in Bitardia's frame of reference, you're actually a character being a cold-blooded murderer. So, while you're just going in there and having fun, you're doing far more than disrupting a party. You could be ruining these people's lives. In an earlier quest, shortly after you break out of prison for a crime you didn't commit, you end up helping a random person blow up a bridge. This is important for a couple reasons. Even earlier in the game, you're questioned by the FBI, and Cancer is referred to as a terrorist group. This could just be due to translation, but even if it is, I think this fits really well. Considering they were blowing up a construction site, it just makes sense. Then here you are blowing up a bridge. Another act of terror, despite the context with which you decided to do it. Despite how low effort and direct the story goes, it makes the point that it's not just the usual shitbags online that cause devastating problems. Anyone can be a monster. While Bitardia is incredibly glitchy and the visuals are so awful they deserve a standing ovation, it all feels like it's an intentional part of this game's identity. There's a very specific aesthetic going on here. Shitty animations, models, and textures all fit together perfectly with the front that the game's putting on. That mask that it wears of meme-filled shit show I mentioned at the beginning. It does a great job of distracting from what's really going on and what's really behind the mask. To put it simple, there are two ways to really look at Bitardia. A shitpost of a video game with no point other than to provide a few laughs and get out of the way, or a subversive title that puts on a front of being low effort when it's really a clever, thought-provoking piece about how shitty people can be online. What you get out of Bitardia entirely depends on your experiences on the internet and the kind of things that you're into. I don't think I can call Bitardia a good game in any fucking stretch of the imagination. It's not the worst thing on the planet, and it absolutely nails what it's going for, but there's a distinct lack of quality that, while intentional, can often pull you out of the experience. The only thing I can say for sure about Bitardia is that it's some kind of crazy, and the creator is either a madman, a genius, or both. So, what do you think? Any particular thoughts on a game that puts on a front like this? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, thanks for joining me for this episode of IndieBytes. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye!